Hello and welcome to the Element 112 Dirty French cooking class. My name, Chef Nixon. I'm your chef and MC for the evening, and I'm going to get you started by kind of explaining how this is all going to go down. What we've done is set up all the dishes into different segments. We're going to go through together and prep those dishes out so that at the very end they're all done. So consider this class the foreplay for the evening. Dinner will be the main event. Now, I hope you've all gone through and followed the instructions on the slides at the beginning of this video. We've got our ovens preheated. We've pulled our containers out of the bags. Take the lids off now. It's okay to leave everything at room temperature. We're going to be going through it right now, so you don't have to worry about that. Keep it out of the fridge. Now, to help you out this evening, all of your ingredients are pre-measured and put into containers. We took that part of sort of the cooking process away for this evening. However, there are recipe cards if you want to go back and do this later. Those will have everything in it, so you can actually make these from scratch again. But for today, you do not need the recipe card included, okay? So just keep your eyes up here, follow along. And for those of you who are concerned or maybe have questions along the way, keep in mind, you can just type those into the comments section. At the end of every segment, I'll be going live to answer those questions and help you guys out with any problems you may have. So every segment we're doing this evening has 2 people. We did check temperatures ahead of time, but we do know they look very hot. For those of you following along by yourselves at home, that's fine. It's just going to take a little bit more effort to get there. But for me this evening, I'm going to bring my wife out. She is, I would say, very much so a cooking novice. But luckily, she likes to try new things, and that probably explains why we have 2 kids a year apart. But without further ado, pull out your chicken, all the prep that goes with it. We're going to go ahead and get started. All right, everybody, welcome to our first segment. We're going to be starting our roasted chicken so that it's done right when everything else is. In the meantime, keep enjoying your charcuterie tray and your baguette. Those are your little snacks to get you through.
Yeah, he failed to provide me with a charcuterie tray and baguette.
I may have made a mistake and forgot to do the baguette and the charcuterie tray for my wife. And everyone, please meet my wife, Madeline. So I'm already behind the 8 ball here in points. We're going to have to make up some during this segment. We'll see how I can do.
I thought this is date night.
Yeah, I got to score some points. How else am I going to score?
Yeah, you're behind.
I got wine.
True.
See? Something. Now, you should have out your chicken, your vegetables, the water, duck fat, salt, your butcher's twine, and your duck sausage, okay? All of these things ready to go. Go ahead and cut the tip off the sausage.
Ouch.
Cut the tip off the sausage. And then also make sure you have an oven-ready pan. Ours, we're just using a standard stainless steel pan. You don't need a nonstick or anything like that. It's a 10-inch. If you have a 12, that'll work. If you got a
Bigger
some
is better.
but maybe we should switch roles this evening. Would you like to switch?
No rubber or plastic.
Yeah, definitely no rubber. I mean, we have 2 children, so go. Let's switch. Let's switch. Come on, you come over here. You can get your hands dirty today.
I don't know about that.
I'm gonna help you out.
Okay.
All right. So step 1 for everyone is to get the roasting base ready first. In this case, we're gonna take our root vegetables in the water and add them to the pan. We did not. Oh, it doesn't matter. Either way, baby. Okay. You can put them in. We just got to get it wet.
You got it.
So vegetables in, and then add just 1 cup of water. Tap water is fine. What the water is going to do is gently steam the bird and also protect the vegetables as we roast it. Go ahead and pour that in.
The temp of the water that you're adding.
No, it'll be fine.
It feels warm.
Warm and wet's always good. I mean, yeah, and we're going to do a little pinch of salt on the vegetables. We want to season those. Wait, that was nothing. Like a little more than that. Good seasoning up high, though. I mean, you've learned something from me at home. Beautiful. Okay. Now, this is all ready, so it's time to take care of the bird. This is. Oh, come on. You don't want to get in there a little bit? Okay, so I get in there, and we'll go from there. So, pull the chicken out. Lay it out on a board, okay? And the first thing we have to do is the worst thing we have to do. And you'll want the most adventurous person at home to go and do this. We're going to slide a hand up under the skin, but
That's
over the
just
breast.
inappropriate.
I know, right? Yeah. See? It's very similar to our first date right now. Oh, sorry. I forgot your mom might be watching.
Probably is. And your mom?
I'm sorry, Trisha. Next part, we've made our pockets. It's time to put the sausage in. The sausage is going to act as a seasoning agent and then protect the breast while we roast it. So, do you want to do this? You want to massage it around, or should I?
No one wants to see the sausage. Just stick it in there. Do your thing.
I'm just going to stick the sausage in there
And do your thing.
and squeeze it out.
Can we switch? My wine is over there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. No, please get your wine. You can come on back. And look, we're piping roughly half. We've packed you the right amount of duck sausage, so you don't have to worry about that. Just use the whole thing. And we're all set. Now, you can't leave it all lumpy like this. You got to massage it out. But use your hands, gently move it around. Try not to rip the skin at the same time.
Ouch.
I know, right? Make sure it's nice and even, okay?
Got it.
Perfect. Next trick. String behind the neck, okay? And then you're going to put it just so the string comes under the breast and make 2 loops like you're tying your shoe twice, okay? 1, 2. And we're going to slide that string while lifting the breast
Oh, it
up,
looks like a little heart.
doesn't it? And squeeze it so we pop those breasts up a little bit, okay?
Push them up.
It's like your favorite push-up bra, right? Boom, done. Tie one more time. That's just to set that knot so it won't move, okay? Next part, go up around the legs and then over them and back down. So it makes a little figure 8 pattern, okay? And we're going to make sure those ankles cross over before we tie them. That's going to pull the legs up under the little points of the breast, make sure those cook evenly. Again, double loop and pull. One more time to set it.
Loop and pull.
In this case, loop, loop, swoop, pull. But yeah. Now, for the real fun part. Yes, are you doing this one? You stepping in here?
Do I get gloves?
No, baby, we ain't using no glove.
Okay, got it.
You're on, Jeff. Hold up. So, we're going to do a quick little recap, if you will. We'll help you out with this. This is one of the trickier parts, and it's actually one of the key parts to make sure your chicken comes out just right. So, go ahead. I hope everybody's caught up to this point, but let me do it real slow so you can all see, okay? Behind the neck, just like that. And then right below the points of the breast, so it should sit right there. Okay? There you go, better. Perfect. And now, 2 loops, okay? 1, 2. That'll let you pull the string and tighten it, but also at the same time, when you let go, it holds, okay? That's one of the best tricks in butchering. Right there, if you like it, we can pop them up a little bit. Just one more tie will actually set that. Super good trick for tying tenderloins or roast too. It works really well. Lets you shape it, make sure you like it, and then you don't have to worry about pulling with your thumb or something while you're trying to tie. Next thing, under those legs, okay? Then over them. That's going to make a little cross pattern right there, a figure 8 around them. And again, pull, and then just use thumbs to push them aside and bring them up. Same move as last time, okay? So I call it a butcher's knot. 1, 2. Pull that. Make sure you like where it is before you tie it off last time. Bam. There we are. Trim that string. And what you're trying to get in the end is right here, where this leg actually touches the points of the chicken. This is the narrowest part of the breast, so you want to make sure that this part is what's protected the most during cooking. The top part there is a lot thicker. It'll last more. It'll take the heat better. But this part we want to block with the legs, that we want to take most of the heat energy there. Okay. This compact little package cooks evenly, helps make sure the chicken comes out moist, and then at the same time make sure it won't roll anywhere by tucking those wings back. That's the other really great trick. There you go. But again, feel free, add comments, questions in there. I'll answer any and all. And at the end of each section, again, I'll stop and we'll go back through and make sure you're all caught up, okay? Keep enjoying the video. Okay, we're gonna take that duck fat container we have, pour it over the bird. It could have set up a little hard in the fridge. That's fine too. Just pull it out. Your hands will actually like loosen it up and let it kind of distribute over it.
A towel handy.
Oh yeah, no, keep a towel around anytime you're using duck fat. Okay. Go ahead, baby. Rub it in.
Gotta show me how.
Oh yeah. No, gently. Okay. Yeah.
It's a little chilly.
Oh. Yeah. No, rub it in there.
Sliding all over the place.
Ooh, now get the butt too. You can't just, you gotta all over, okay? I tell you, this is probably the first time I've seen her rub duck fat into the breast.
Yeah, no thanks. So, this is for our watchers at home.
Ooh, we really should have started an OnlyFans for this.
Yes. Next time.
Now.
I want to do this.
You want to do the salt?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're gonna season. It's gonna add a little bit more seasoning. Go ahead. Lots. Sprinkle from way up high, and she's doing a great job. See, it's falling like snow. And we're gonna grab it by the ankles too. We gotta roll it over, make sure we season the backside. Just give it a flip, baby. Yeah. Full now. A little more. There we go. That's beautiful.
I know.
So, and she's seasoning way up high. That's so it falls nice and even. You don't get chunks of salt somewhere where it's over seasoned then.
And you may have a mess in your kitchen.
You're probably gonna have a mess.
Yeah.
But whatever.
That's what Roomba's for.
That's right. So, we're all set.
Thanks.
Every time we get together and... So, I'm going to put the chicken in the pan. Put it right on top of the vegetables in the water. Breast side up. And we're going to go into that 475 degree oven right now, okay? It's going to take between 45 minutes and an hour, depending on your oven at home.
Did we tell them to preheat the oven?
We did. We covered that, baby. It's okay. That oven's preheated.
Are you sure? We definitely forgot.
We're preheating. Definitely preheating right now.
Who's the chef now?
Hey, you've learned a thing or two, apparently.
I can't even pick up my wine glass. My hands are still slimy.
We have to go get a cleanup in, Oh, while we're cleaning up, you're going to go visit the boys in the cocktail corner and talk about your beverage pairing this evening. Is it warmer in here?
It is. It is. It's heating up.
Are you free this afternoon?
Nope, actually.
Damn it. Didn't work.
Bonsoir, je m'appelle Rami.
Et je m'appelle Andrew.
we have prepared a couple cocktails for you this evening. Our opening cocktail to get the foreplay going is the Moulin Rouge.
Yeah, and just like the famous French cabaret, it's fun, it's flirty, and it's gonna make you want to French.
Yeah, baby. So first off, we have the Boulard.
Yeah, and this is a Calvados. It's a French apple brandy. It's gonna add, obviously, apple notes, as well as a little bit of vanilla and spice flavor.
Next up, Saint Germain.
And this is another one from France. It's an elderflower liqueur, and this is where we're gonna get most of the sweetness in the cocktail, as well as some floral notes.
Raspberry puree.
So this is primarily gonna give our cocktail the bright red color that's evocative of the Moulin Rouge in France. It also adds fruity notes and a little bit of acidity as well.
And then we got the lemon juice.
I love adding lemon juice to most every cocktail I make. It really makes it a lot more refreshing, bright, and drinkable, which is definitely what we're looking for in this case.
All right, time to shake things up.
I know what you're thinking here. That was only 10 seconds, Rami. How could you possibly have finished already? But that's just par for the course here.
Oui. I'm saving my energy for some late night activities.
There you go.
All right, so you'll be receiving this cocktail already poured in a to-go bottle. Give it a quick shake, show your glass, and then pour it into that glass of your choice.
Or if you're like me, you can just drink it straight out of the bottle.
And then it'll already come topped off with about 2 ounces of sparkling wine.
And again, you can just drink it like this. We like to garnish it with the lemon peel. So I'm gonna get that ready. Now you can just throw it on, just like this. I think it looks a lot more impressive though, if you trim it up a bit first before the big reveal. Just need to squeeze it a bit to get the juices flowing before you put it right in there.
Voila, there you have it, the Moulin Rouge. Bon appetit.
All right. So we had a question come in for tying the bird. We're going to do it one more time, okay? Remember, don't be shy. Add comments, ask questions. That's what I'm here for. If it doesn't pertain to this recipe, I don't care. I'm here to answer your food questions for the evening. So whatever, all right? But we're going to do it real slow, too. I know I'm pretty quick. String, you want to find the middle? Right behind the neck there. Okay? And then over the legs, but under the points of the breast. Let me show you this. I'll try to do it in reverse for you here. And we're going to do 2 loops, all right? If I can do it in reverse. 1, 2. And remember, pull this nice and tight, okay? You're going to see the shape come up. And then as long as you got the string where you like it and you've popped them up, tie 1 more knot that's going to set it in place. Bam. Now, under the legs and then over. And pull, that's going to do a little cross section right there. And just use your hands to move one over the other. Wrap right around up top. 1, 2. Pull it. Make sure they're set. And again, legs right up against the breast there, okay? So it should look nice and tight. That's going to protect it. Tie 1 more knot as long as you're sure you got it right. You're all done, okay? Perfect. Now make sure your chickens are in the oven, okay? We've got them at a really high temp. One of the other cool things we did for you is ordered a really awesome bird, but we also leave ours open in the fridge. A lot of people get scared of this. We set up a dry aging area, and that way our chickens, the skin will actually dry out a little bit so it doesn't shrink so much when it roasts. Also, it gets super crispy. The other trick here is we made our own duck sausage. That makes an air gap between the breast meat and the skin and lets the oven do its work. You'll get a great brown out of that, and you also get an extra crisp note from it. And then even better with the sausage just on the breast, you're protecting those so the legs can come up to the temperature they need to, and the breast meat stays just a little bit below it. Ideally, 145 for the breast, 165 for the legs. So to create that temperature difference, again, we use sausage, and in this case, duck, way more flavorful, big sage notes to it. You're going to see a nice salinity come through, so a lot of savory notes. Those are the things we were trying to add to chicken that can be pretty plain by itself. You got to make sure you take care of it. So anything else you guys need? Any questions? Again, don't be afraid. Add them in the comments. We're sitting here right now checking on things. Look, I'm watching right now. So you can add whatever you need, and I will answer it. But go ahead and enjoy the rest of the video.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the time at Rami and Andrew's Cocktail Corner. Hope they got you nice and loosened up and ready for this next segment. As you can see, that old chef has been replaced by two much better looking chefs. I'm Victor.
I'm Ethan. Before we get started here, you're going to want to make sure we have all of our ingredients out. You're also going to need 2 plates, a mixing bowl, a rubber spatula, and then we have a pan here that's preheating over medium to low heat.
And we're going to start with the cooking. The first step, I'm going to hand over the vegetable mix we have and the butter to Ethan.
Okay, so I'm going to add my butter to the pan. Now, it's always important to use protection. This pan might be very hot. In here we have some onion, bell pepper, and garlic.
And while Ethan gets the pan ready to go, I'll kind of explain to you guys why we're doing what we're doing with the crab cake. We wanted it to be a very intense crab flavor and cut back on the filler. So we've taken a couple steps to ensure that that happens and give you guys a really high quality experience at home. And we've added a couple little French twists to really make it an element crab cake.
Our butter is glistening now, so we're going to add our veg. All sweating means is a very light cook in a small amount of fat. All we're looking for is the onions to get translucent and for it all to smell really, really nice.
All right, so he's taking care of that. We're gonna have sweat over there. We're actually gonna start with our aioli and panko base. So we have a seasoned aioli mixture, and one of the little tricks we do is we blend raw shrimp in with your aioli mixture. Just a minute.
Oh.
No, go.
This kind of just helps it form more of a paste consistency. There is a lot of lemon juice that adds brightness here. That's going to make it so that our crab cakes will be nice and firm instead of falling apart and a bit crumbly, which you don't want.
So you have 2 panko containers shipped with you. One of them is seasoned with a lot of stuff we throw in here, like herbs de Provence, some cayenne, some salt. And we're going to use that one to mix in with our aioli base. We're just going to evenly distribute this, make sure it's completely homogeneous before you get ready for the next step.
Looks like our veg is starting to smell really good.
Veg is about ready to go in. We're going to pull our shrimp and our crab. We have a nice blue crab for you here. And we also have poached oishi shrimp. We really enjoy the oishi shrimp. It's raised and harvested in the same location, which is pretty uncommon actually. And that allows them to freeze it very quickly. And so as it ships, it doesn't lose any quality at all. So we get this awesome flavor from it.
We're going to go ahead and add the veg in at this point as well. Scrape me out.
Yeah, chef. All right, so I'm going to mix all this together.
As you can see, Victor's really going to work his way around the outside before he makes his way to the center. Really getting in the folds here.
All right. Now, as you can see, when I try to spread it, it holds together, and that's about the texture that we want. Now, I'm going to leave the dirty work over to Ethan.
All right, let's get our hands messy.
In the meantime, I'm going to take out that second batch of panko and spread that evenly on the plate so he can finish breading ours up.
So we packaged enough crab and shrimp for everyone in your party to have 2 cakes. So go ahead and divide it up appropriately. I'm just gonna guess it's okay if the cakes are, different sizes. It's totally natural.
It'll taste good regardless. When you're doing these, it's very important. You want to work delicately but firmly to make sure everything's packed in there nice and tight. So there you go, 2 nice, evenly shaped crab cakes.
Yep. All right.
And then Ethan's just going to lightly bread the outside so that when we sear them, they still have that nice crispy texture on the outside, which is important to a crab cake.
We're just looking here for the outside of the crab cake to get nice and evenly coated. The sides are not as important. We're not going to be really having those touch the pan much. So go ahead and get them breaded, lay them out on your plate. And we're just going to store these in the fridge, nicely wrapped for when we get ready to cook these all the way. What do you think of my cakes, Victor?
Beautiful, great shape, nice and plump, yet firm, just how you like them.
That's right.
Now that your crab is caked, we're going to take it to chef with the weather. Adios.
Bye.
I don't know why I said adios, but...
Hi, I'm James, and I'm here with Allison in her champagne room to see what she's selected for us this evening.
Hey everyone, I can't think of anything sexier than popping open a bottle of champagne. To pair with your dinner this evening, I've selected Philippe Fontaine champagne. It's the perfect pairing from top to bottom. It's actually a grower champagne, meaning they practice multiple positions, both growing and production. The notes of strawberry and grapefruit are going to help brighten the flavors of the crab cake.
Kind of like a squeeze of lemon.
Exactly. And being that the wine is comprised of Pinot Noir and Pinot Meunier, both red wine grapes, you're going to get a whole lot of body from this wine. which is going to stand up to the flavors of the chicken dish without overpowering. And lastly, the effervescence from the champagne are going to contrast the luxuriousness of the chocolate fondue.
Who doesn't like finishing with some chocolate, strawberries, and a little bit of champagne?
Cheers! Bon appetit!
So, this is just to answer a few questions on the crab cake move. And this is actually one of my favorite things we've come up with lately. It's super simple, but it's a matter of how you combine things. And people often overthink it. It's all about putting it together a lot like you were baking a cake, okay? Bringing your wet ingredients together and then bringing your dry into those. One, you won't beat your crab up too much. I mean, that's one of those things where people often destroy it and then you don't have those chunks in there. The other thing we did is really cool is using shrimp as a binder as opposed to a lot more breadcrumb. That way the outside we can get that nice and crispy, but the inside is all about that crab flavor. So in my bowl, just to go back through with you real quick, I've got all the wet ingredients, and we did a lot of the work for you this evening. The lemon zest, things like that were already added. The shrimp meat's already added to your wet base, and then I've added the sauteed part already too, so the peppers and onions with the butter. You are going to use all the butter you put in the pan too. That's a measured amount, and it's reflected in the recipe sheets you have. So if you want to go back through and do this later, that's all there, okay? So what happens though is by mixing all the wet ingredients up first, I get to make sure those are all evenly distributed. And then as I add the dry ingredients to them, I won't create pockets where you'll have uneven seasoning or a whole chunk of lemon zest or something like that. I'm going to actually fold in those breadcrumbs a little bit, stir them up, go real quick. Just make sure that's all nice and even. And now I go in with the crab and the shrimp. I like to use shrimp too because it adds a nice bite to it, a really firm texture, because I don't like a mushy crab cake. I think that's kind of disgusting. My thing is like really crab forward, big flavors, and then nice texture to it. It's really firm. So. And once those are in, you want to use a folding motion. So scoop around the bowl and bring those items back on top. Try to avoid stirring. And also, you want to clean the bowl as you go because that's how you're going to end up basically making sure all the ingredient from the recipe is incorporated in. So if you can I get a camera move in here? Yeah, bring me in. So you should have a mix again. Looks like what my two sous chefs were describing to you. So it actually wants to cake together a little bit sitting in the bowl. You see that? And again, the fold is just like this. Scoop through, fold over, and you're almost setting it on top, okay? And as you can see, like as I was working, the bowl gets cleaned. There we are. That's what your mix should look like. And then again, don't worry too much about the exactness of it, but divide it into the portions you have set up. Depends on how many people are at home. And set that aside. We're going to actually bread it with the crumb on the outside extra. And then at the end of this video, while we're waiting on our chicken to rest, we'll go through and saute that, okay? But anyway, we'll take you back to the action. Okay, we're going to answer another quick question. We have a way too wet question, and there's two things that can happen. One, it takes a second for panko to actually absorb, so it could be that. The other move is we pack too much of the breading exterior amount. If you add just a pinch, it'll soak it right up. That way you can adjust if you feel necessary, but it should be a little bit wet just before you're going to pack it. When you're putting it together, if it seems like it's going to leak when you press your hands into it, that means add a little bit more panko, fold one more time, and then go ahead and get it started on it, okay? What else was the other question? Oh, no, leave the crab cakes out right now. You're fine. So we're going to get into it in about 20 minutes, so you're actually all right. If it was going to be longer than that, we would wait and we'd put them in the fridge, but I actually love cooking from room temperature in general. It's one of those, thanks, Josh. It's one of those great things about cooking. It'll help with things evening out. You don't want to create cold spots in your food. I almost always pull everything ahead of time to temper it or bring it to room temperature. That way when you're roasting it, it's a gentler elevation of temperature for the item. So going from really cold to really hot is really aggressive and it pulls proteins and it's really difficult for that item you're cooking. Going from a room temp is much, much softer on it. It's going to make sure your texture is better later. The proteins are juicier, things like that. So one of my biggest pieces of advice, always pull things about an hour ahead of time. So what other questions? And yes, the vegetables that you're sauteing should be added to the base too. Of course, yeah, that's what I'm here for. I'll answer questions all night. But we're going to leave the chocolate fondue setup up for just another second. Let everybody clean up from doing the crab cakes. Make sure you wash your hands really well. We don't want crab flavors in our chocolate. And again, we're getting all the items ready to finish together at the end. So this is how we would cook at the restaurant. We would get ready ahead of time and make sure we could bring it together in one smooth motion. You don't want to have to go back and forth to the kitchen a lot. So yeah, keep that in mind. We're going to finish it all up, and there's a whole clip on that. We'll take care of it. All right, back to the action.
this is my sugar daddy James. And tonight we are going to be making some fondue.
Now I know chocolate is kind of a bad boys game. It can be a little intimidating to work with for the first time. So we brought Bridget here from the front of house, doesn't have much cooking experience.
Can't make toast correctly.
I have total faith, but just to be safe, maybe we should establish like a safe word or something, just in case you want me to jump in and help out.
Yeah, that would actually be really useful. We're doing French tonight. Let's go with some bonjour. That seems pretty cool.
All right, I'll keep an ear out, but again, total faith. You got this. You got this. All right, before we get started, we're gonna go over our tools. You're gonna need a whisk, a rubber spatula, a small pot to put the cream in, and a mixing bowl. You're also gonna need the ingredients labeled chocolate fondue. We have our wet and we have our chocolate. Go ahead and add the wet ingredients to the pot, and we'll do a medium heat. So a medium heat is going to be important because you don't want to burn your cream as you bring it up to a simmer. And you're also going to want to make sure that you scrape the ingredients from the bottom because there's actually some honey and salt added in with the cream. The honey is actually going to make our fondue a little more unique. It adds a subtle sweetness and a subtle acidity to it. And the salt just pairs really well with dark chocolate. Speaking of, we have our Valrhona dark chocolate that we're just going to add to our mixing bowl. And we're just gonna stir this every now and then, bringing it to a simmer. How you doing over there, Bridget?
Good. Bonjour! That's better.
Everything's fine.
Yeah, everything's fine. You're doing great, sweetie.
Oh, thanks. Just like that, our cream is at a simmer. No need to panic. We're just gonna take it off of the heat. Pour it over our chocolate.
You were worried.
Just a little. So now we're gonna get our whisk. And we're just gonna stir this until it's nice and smooth.
You're not a bad chef. Look at you go.
Thanks. I guess you're just such a good teacher.
What can I say?
With pastry skills like that, I bet you get all the ladies.
You would think that.
So we're just stirring this until it's smooth, right?
Yep, that's what I said. Ooh.
And there we go. Look at that. Easy peasy.
Lemon squeezy.
So now that this is all smooth, we're gonna set this to the side. We're gonna clean out our pan, add a little bit of water to it, get kind of a double boiler going over a low heat. We're gonna keep this in a warm spot until we're ready for dessert, but Chef Nixon is gonna go over all of that later. And that's how you make a chocolate fondue.
Right, baby?
Bon appetit. Don't mind if I fondue.
Okay, what did I give my what? Oh, kidding. So the fondue, just to go back through one time. One, also check it out. Awesome Valrhona chocolate. Quality of chocolate makes huge difference here. So keep that in mind if you go to the grocery store and you're trying to remake this. Find a very good, preferably single origin chocolate. If you really need Valrhona chocolate, just come to us and we'll help. But make sure this is in. And the reason is we don't like to boil chocolate. We want to warm it up, but we don't want to hurt it at all. It burns really easy, and you can actually like set off all those flavors they've worked on when they've produced it. So boil the mix, and then bring it over to it, and let it do the work. So you can actually just chill, let it happen. And you can smell the vanilla bean in there. That's one of my favorite things. But you don't want to actually bring this back over and put it on a burner or put it back in the pan. That's not a good way to go about it. You're just going to end up with a really bitter flavor at that back. So let it go softly, and then we're also going to get one bonus out of this, which is it's going to stay emulsified. And that's a really fancy word for you'll keep the sheen and all those ingredients together so the flavors are really complex. So as you can see, let's get you right in there. Yeah. I can literally just let it sit there and do its thing. Let the cream mix warm it up. Again, another reason it's really important to have everything out and let that chocolate come to temp. And then when you're stirring, it will start to all come together as one mix, but you'll see the sheen on it. It's really awesome. It's got this beautiful like mirror finish to it. And don't be scared if it looks a little off or something, or you're like, oh no, it broke into all these little pieces. That's just it starting to emulsify. Just keep scraping down the side. You're going to use something similar to our folding technique from before. And you should end up right here, where there's actually enough texture to it that it'll hold on something when it's dipped in, one of the key parts here, right? Now, I'm going to leave it in this bowl, and we're going to use warm water to rewarm it when I want it later. Other move for you, put it in a microwave-safe bowl, and we can actually pulse it up in the microwave to make sure the texture is right for you. So don't be afraid if this looks really too firm or something while it's sitting there and you're waiting for the other things to get done. It's just so that after chicken is done and you've had your main courses, you can go right to dessert. We don't want you to have to wait and then produce it then. So we're going to get it set up now. What other questions were there? What else? The liquid in the fondue mixture, that's actually all of the wet ingredients from the recipe card you'll find. So again, don't worry about that stuff. We've combined a lot of things to help you keep up this evening and make sure you weren't so worried about what was going on around you. You could have a little fun. Outside of that, and a French Pinot. What kind of French Pinot? That's the better question. I love French Pinot Noir. Perfect. Well, it looks like people are starting to wrap up on their fondue. Again, do not be afraid to ask questions about the dishes we're doing or any other ones. I'll be happy to jump in and answer them. Another good thing to do right now is open the oven up and check your chicken. Make sure it's going well. Rotate it if you can. That's going to make sure the browning's more even in case your oven has any hot spots or things like that. But remember, handle of that pan is going to be really hot. Be very careful. And it should have a really good sizzle and a lot of steam going to it. That's the other bonus from the water is you're going to steam out some of that chicken, which will add to the crispiness at the end. So go ahead, give that a check. Don't worry, I have a timer going here. We'll be able to help you figure out doneness. I think that's about it. Back to the clip. All right, it's that time, and we're gonna start wrapping up everything so we can finally have dinner, right? I'm gonna start with the crab cake. Your chicken should be in the oven, and it only has a few minutes left, but we'll check that in a second. What we want to do right now is get a saute pan out, and I used a generous amount of grapeseed oil. Any sort of vegetable oil is fine. Canola oil is great. Anything like that, and we're gonna turn it on a medium heat, so nothing too crazy. The trick is to make sure it's just not too low. Too low and the crab cake will absorb a lot of fat. We want to make sure we get it crisp on the outside. We don't add to that mushy problem we were talking about earlier. Other things to have ready are garnish, which we've done some pickled chilies. They have a little bit of heat, but not a lot. So if you don't like the spice, leave that out. A little bit of bib lettuce for some fresh crunch. And then sauce that I absolutely love. It's called grabiche. It's really citrusy. It's got some capers to it. It's a mayo base, and it's one of those awesome things. Goes great on crab cakes in this case, or French fries, fish, anything like that. One of my favorite standbys. And the best part is you make it ahead, put it in the fridge, and then you can pull that out later and use it. So I'm checking my pan heat, just looking at that. Hand over the top, it should feel warm, and I can feel a little bit. I'm using an electric induction cooktop. If you're using a flame, whatever, just try to make sure you can feel some good heat about 6 inches above it. It's one of those chef tricks you kind of pick up over the years, but preheating pans, absolutely crucial. And then my crab cake from earlier. So I've got it packed out. You can see it's about 1 inch tall, about 4.5 inches wide. You don't have to worry too much on it getting cooked through in this case. We're just crisping up the outside because all the items in it are cooked. But what we want to do now is just make sure that it's the breading that's on the outside is really pushed into it. So I'm going to take it one more time and just work with it gently. Make sure those ingredients are all pressed into the outside, okay? We don't want a bunch of panko floating in our oil and burning. And then make sure you compact it a little bit, but we're not trying to like squish the crab all the way. So try to get it just right. And then I can feel my heat's really good. I'm going to go ahead and place it in. And I'm going to place it, don't drop it. That's one of the first ways to get yourself hurt in the kitchen. Anytime you're using something hot, make sure that you place the item. And I can hear it. It's sizzling a little bit, but I want a little more, so I'm going to go up. I want to hear it. I want to know it's frying on the outside a little bit. There it is. But I also don't want it to sound really aggressive or violent, okay? It's you know, somewhere right in the middle of a nice simmer sound. Perfect. And then I'm going to use, we call it a fish spatula to flip it. Any sort of turner will work, like pancake turner, whatever you have, that's fine. Something where you can actually just support the weight of it and flip it. And we also want to lift and check too. So one of the things we talk about here is trying to be sure of what you're doing. And as cooks, that means we don't just flip it blindly over and over again where we're going to destroy the crab meat. We check things before we do things. So let's here, I'll slide this over a little bit. Oh yeah. So you can see it bubbling away at the bottom there. We're going to wait 1 second and wait till we see some browning at the bottom edge. That's going to be my indicator to lift it a little bit and check it. But I want to see it around the edge first, so we'll keep maneuvering it. And be patient, you know, these take a second. And I'm almost there. Just 1 more second. And that's it. But look at that, nice dark brown. Definitely no black. And then we're also trying to keep the temperature down. If it's going really quick, you're going to have cold spots at home, so try to keep it a little bit lower. And now we're just going to wait for the second part to finish off there. And one more good trick is if you have a paper towel or something and you really want to make this look professional, Can I have a paper towel real quick? You can actually do what I call a little quick degreasing as you're moving to plate. We use quite a bit of different ways of making sure that cooking oil never makes it to the plate. We like it to be so, the plates look really clean, and you don't want grease running off something, so we'll always try to pull the excess. And again, I'm going to check, make sure the bottom is how I like it, and it's perfect. Ooh, and there's a question. Do you heat the pan before you add the oil, or do you heat the pan with the oil in it? Either works. If we're working at the restaurant, I would actually dry heat the pan where you don't add oil. One, you limit the risk of the oil, smoking or catching fire, and two, it will actually go faster. And in a professional kitchen, that's always a large concern, is we need speed. So if you add oil to the pan, it just takes a few seconds longer. Not a big deal, though. It'll work either way. All right, so now we're going to do that little stop I told you. So I leave it on the spatula, set it on the paper towel, and I'm going to let it rest there while I go through and plate the dish. So I'm going to take our sauce, and we gave you way too much of this, but that's because it's so good. And I'm going to put right in the middle. And when we're plating, we scrape up the sides of the containers so that we don't drip as we're dropping something. And I drop it straight off the front of the spoon because I'm trying to make a circle there. And then I'm going to take the crab cake. I'm going to put it right in the middle and just slowly pull that back. And let the round shape of the crab cake push that sauce out nice and round. And then the fun parts where you get to be a little bit of an artist. I'm going to start with the bib lettuce and try to get it nice and high. And then these chilies, I like them. I love spice with the crab cake. Crab cake's nice and savory. This adds a little counterpoint to it. It's acidic, but it's also got some heat. I love that. So I'm going to place those, try to work with some negative space. And I try to move them around the dish because often plating lends to how someone's going to eat it in the end. So you have to be aware of that. Putting them all in one spot means one spicy bite. So, and for those of you checking out at home, it's also a good time to check your chickens are done. Yeah, that's my timer. So go ahead and pull our bird. Perfect. Here, put it right on. And you can either use a thermometer, a meat thermometer of any sort, and we're going to check the legs for doneness. We're looking for right around 155 to 160 right now, and it's going to rest. So when it rests, the temperature will actually keep climbing. A lot of people overcook something by going to the temp, and then they pull it out, and it waits 5 minutes, and it goes about 10 degrees over. Especially on a larger item like this, it's going to rest up 5 to 10 degrees. So this is a 155, and I'm happy to wait. You're also going to see a lot of that duck fat ran to the bottom of the pan. Don't get rid of that, okay? That's the stuff that's going to help finish our sauce here. So this guy, perfect. If you're without a thermometer at home, there's a few things you can do. Simple one with a knife. Prick the thigh. Make sure you go all the way down to the bone and see if it runs clear. If the juices run with a little bit of pink in them or something like that, it needs to go a second longer. But if the juices are mostly clear, you're done. So other things to look for, firmness, it should feel nice and solid, but also not like a hockey puck. And I think that'll probably get you there. We're just going to let this bird hang out and rest. But all right, so back to our crab cake. You can see done plate, ready to go. And if you're at home right now, I think a great thing for you is just take a second, stop, go ahead, eat your crab cake, okay? Check your chickens, pull them out if you need to rest for a second. What we're going to do is give you about 5 or 10 minutes to enjoy your crab cake and then come back to us for the plating of the chicken, okay? Perfect. And again, remember, feel free to put any questions in there and see what's up. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the crab cake. And what I'm going to do now is show you how to finish up the chicken and the fondue. That way, after this, we can leave you to it, okay? So I've taken my chicken out of the pan, but left the duck fat and any of the water that might be left in there. I've also left the vegetables in there, okay? Chicken I've put on top of a paper towel in the middle of a cutting board, and I have a knife to work with. I'm using a boning knife. A chef knife will work, or whatever you have. We'll get to cutting this in a minute, though, because the longer we let this rest, the better it's going to be. What I am going to do is put this up onto high. So we're going to bring the pan up. Oh, technical difficulty. Let me switch pan real quick. Induction problems. Whatever, we'll come back to this in a second. But while it's sitting there, what you want to do is get your chicken jus base out. And what we did was actually cook chicken stock for real here. Yeah, go ahead and pour it all. Thank you, sir. Beautiful. So we use vegetables, some aromatics, and chicken bones, roast them, make a base for your sauce. And we're going to want to use all the things from roasting in the pan. So there we go. Turn it up to high, get it to simmer, and then add this. You'll see it has like a gelatin look to it. That's because it's a real one. Real chicken stock has some body to it. Gelatin from cooking the bones down real slow, okay? So add that. Again, we're on high heat, so don't worry about that, okay? Let it come up, and what we're going to do here is create a pan sauce at the same time. The only trick here is waiting. So we got to actually bring it up, let it come down a little bit, and the gelatin from cooking that stock is going to be what binds our sauce with the duck fat that was in there, okay? One of the great parts of this is when you have real ingredients too and you make your own stock, the actual gelatin quality will add to the mouthfeel, so the sauce has like a velvety texture to it. And I'll even show you how to reduce it right and make sure you can check it as you go, because like good cooks, we want to be sure. So you can see it's going to start melting. Can you get in here on this one a little bit? See, it's melting right away, and you can see the little flecks of duck fat on top. That's our indicator that this sauce isn't emulsified yet or brought together. The boiling action of the pan as it comes up will be what does that, okay? Now, other thing is I did leave the chicken tied. So I kept it as one compact package so that as it rests, it doesn't cool down too fast. Again, we don't like to go up and down in a really aggressive way. We want to keep it gentle so that our food ingredients are treated well the whole time. And the other really good trick is buy the best kind of chicken. So this is an Amish variety that's actually raised free range and outside. That's one of the reasons it has so much like flavor to it and the juiciness, and it's got a really an actual higher fat content to it. Fat's one of those like words that scares people, but in cooking it is what makes great textures, and they're showing more and more that it's one of the healthiest things in the world we don't get enough of. So, but check this out, we're starting to get a little simmer action coming up. And we can be patient. We want to wait. We want to let it boil. Again, the bubbles and the boiling, that action is going to bring all this together, emulsify our sauce, and let us, finish out this dish, okay? The second we think it's right, and are a few seconds away from there, is when I'm going to start taking the bird apart. And I'll actually show you how to do a plated carving of it as well. Do we leave all the water in the pan? Yes. Yeah, leave all the water in the pan. That's actually what's collected all that fat and things from roasting it before. We don't like wasted ingredients here, so we don't want to add something to not use it on the plate later. So the duck fat, the rendering of the sausage, and the chicken jus, all of those things came out into that water, and by protecting it as it was in the oven, making sure it didn't burn to the bottom of it, you get a deeper flavor to your sauce later. It's one of those secrets of chefs don't normally tell you is water is one of their best friends in roasting. So yeah, keep that in there. Let's see what other questions we've got. Mother, stop eating the fondue. We're on the entree, okay? This is why you don't have your mother do your cooking class. Beautiful. So there it goes. Now you can see it come up. You see these little flecks or this what looks like bubbles on top. Those would, if you were trying to make like a consommé or something really fancy, those are the things we want to remove. In this case, it tells us that what we're doing is working. So it's the little bits of fat emulsifying with the stock as it's starting to come down. Don't be afraid to stir a little bit. If there's any brown bits on the bottom of the pan from before, say your oven was a little stronger and evaporated most of that water, this will pick those brown bits up and make sure they go in the sauce. There we go. And don't be worried about pushing this pretty hard, okay? Again, the bubbles are what's going to keep creating that action where the sauce comes together. So you don't want to simmer this gently. That was the first part. That's when we're introducing flavor to the stock. When we make stock, we take our time and we go very slowly and gentle with the heat. But right here at the end, we want to be really aggressive. There you go. Perfect. Now, what you're going to see me do is run a spoon through it. And what I'm doing is trying to watch the consistency against the spoon. Another move you'll see chefs do is they'll put their finger through the back like this, and I'm holding nothing yet. But what I can see in there is the viscosity starting to come up a little bit. And what I mean by that is it's pouring off the spoon slower and holding on there a little bit. So at this point, I'm going to set this aside. And I'm going to come back over to the chicken. You move that camera over for me. And what I'm going to do is look right back to where our feet were, and you'll see the string should have loosened, okay? It shouldn't be nearly as tight as it was before. That's from the meat contracting while it cooks. And right by the thigh, you'll find you can easily pull that. And then the legs will be stuck together here. You can slide the knife down one ankle and trim that out. And you'll know that's fine if it just releases, okay? Now, the trick is don't pull the legs apart too much. We want to actually keep them together. And again, I'm using it on a paper towel to make sure that it doesn't shift all over the board. I don't have to work to hold the item in place. First cut for taking a bird apart is actually to slide right down the joints, okay? So you'll see this white line where the string was from tying it earlier. We're going to slide a knife right through there. You're going to want to make sure you come all the way down through by the tips of the breast. And then you'll see this flap of skin right here. Turn the bird up on its side and just follow the leg around a little bit, okay? Same thing over here. And I'm using the ankles or the little ends of the drums there to actually turn it and hold it and move it around. Now, if you want to at this point, you can actually just rip the leg off if you're really feeling like having some fun. In my case, I'm actually just going to pop it like that and cut right down the leg joint. If you want to take the thigh all the way off as well, turn that bird all the way up and just pull. Okay? And one of my favorite parts on all the chickens is actually right here in the back. That part is like the midnight snack later, if you will, okay? So I'm going to put a whole leg down right there. Clean up a little bit right here. At the same time, watch your sauce. Make sure it doesn't over-reduce or start to look really gummy. In that case, all you have to do is add water. It's a chicken jus and any stock-based sauce. If you just add water, that's all that was removed from the evaporation process of reducing it, so you can fix it really fast. But what I'm going to do right now is look for the center, right on the sternum there, and run my knife over it. And I'm not going to push, okay? We're just going to like gently run the knife over and let the knife work. You have a nice sharp knife, that'll take care of it. And I'm going to find the bone and then go to each side a little bit, okay? So one more time. I want to double check, and I want to make sure I feel that I've gone all the way down to the rib cage. Now, there are two ways to bring this off. I'll do both of them. One is to actually use that line and run the knife back down the rib cage here. Slide it. And then you'll feel the wishbone right here, which is actually your guide slicing the way out, right above the wing. And you can get a presentation cut like that. If you're looking for something a little fancier, you can actually do a V-cut, where you come in from the side. This leaves a little bit more behind on the carcass, but it looks very pretty. So either way is fine, because you can always just use your fingers to pick the carcass apart later. So I'm going to lay that there. Lay that there. Beautiful. Now, other thing to keep in mind, don't worry about the dark part. If you see this on the side of the breast, this is actually the sausage meat cooked. Don't let that scare you, okay? It's just right there set up. But this is what I want to see on the sauce. Bring it back up. Yeah. So now, if you look at it, the sauce has this like roasted chicken color to it, the jus texture, and it's starting to thicken a little bit. So depending on how you like it, I like to fill the plate with it. So I'm going to leave it slightly loose and let it set up on the plate. If you like it a little thicker, like almost like a gravy texture, just reduce it a little further. But we're going to let it go one more second. Can I just have one little spoon? I just want one more second on that to come down. And Denise is in trouble now too. She's been eating her fondue early as well. We love you, Denise. It's okay. You can get away with it. Last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to check the jus. With the sausage and the seasoning on the bird, it's actually seasoned perfect right now. I love that. If it needs a touch of salt, go ahead and add it. But that's entirely up to the cook there. The move now is actually just to plate our vegetables in our sauce. So I'm going to make a little base. So what I'm going to do, I bring the pan over to the plate. I don't want to be splashing all over the kitchen. And when I plate it, I'm going to actually turn the spoon towards the center of the plate each time, so that the items fall towards the chicken and tuck it in. And I'm just playing with the natural like spaces that come up from where the chicken was laid out. And then what I'm going to do is tilt the pan a little bit because I want more of that gravy over it. So, perfect. There we go. Roasted chicken also. Now, give me about 2 minutes. We're going to come back after we set up for fondue and show you how to finish that as well. this one I save for last because it's the simplest and easiest. It's your fondue setup. We'll make this a pretty plated dish for you, but frankly, the best way to do this is warm it up, either using a microwave method or the one I'm about to show you. If you're going to do the microwave, 5 seconds, stir, 10 seconds, stir, another 5 seconds, stir, and pulse it up. If you go really fast, it will actually hurt it. So, but make sure you're taking small steps and then stirring each time until you like the consistency. For me, I'm going to use just a pan and a little bit of water in it. I've got it turned on to about medium just to create some steam, which you can start to see coming up here. And my fondue is set up. It's actually entirely firm, so we're going to bring it all the way back. In our case, I'm going to actually do this plated dish. If I was at home with my wife right now, I would probably just start eating it out of the bowl. But we're going to try to make this look really pretty for you on camera. So I'm going to take a few pieces of our pound cake and lay them out. And then I'm going to distribute some of the fruit. In this case, I'm actually going to use the different kinds of fruit in different locations, so eating around the dish is fun. And this works for whatever you might have. I mean, even if you're doing like a pineapple, whatever, any kind of cake, whatever fruit's available, all of that stuff will be great. A banana is fantastic. Things like that all work. So I've got it set up with the fruit, and then in this case, when I'm going to plate it like this, we're going to put the chocolate over it, but we're going to use one of my favorite things. It's a passion fruit coulis, so a little passion fruit, some wine and sugar all cooked down. And we're going to use that to hydrate the cake a little bit, so we're going to drizzle it over it. And let the pound cake sort of soak it up. This adds a lot of tartness to it, but it's a bright sort of fruit note that goes well with the raw fruit that's on the plate. And then I've got this on the steam, like we said, but as you can see, it's starting to relax. Okay. Get that camera switch. So now, if I move it around, it's starting to get smooth again. So we've just got a second longer. Yeah, check it out. So you see, not quite there. Hang on 1 second. Got to be patient with it. And remember, this video is up, so if, say you're eating your chicken right now and want to come back to the fondue, you can easily just go back through, scroll on your YouTube stream there, and then see this instruction at the end. Other thing to note, there's some salted caramels in your box. That's a little favorite snack here at Element 112 we like to send people home with. So save that one for later on in the evening. But I understand if you already ate them, Josh. Just saying. Now, as you can see, the sheen's coming back a lot right now. And it's almost like silk. And now it's starting to smell really good again. You smell the chocolate aroma. There it is. So remember, we want it thick so that it'll stand on something, but also thin enough or smooth enough that it'll pour over it at the same time. This is one of the harder parts about cooking in a restaurant is balancing items like this. When you really cook and everything's made to order, you see cooks that have to pulse things or warm things up or back them off and cool them off, all just to achieve the right texture for you. And it's one of the things that kind of goes unnoticed, but we do it all the time. And you can see this is beautiful and smooth now. I can run right through it, but at the same time, it's holding that line at the bottom of the bowl right there. So set this aside. And I've got my spoon. Let that camera come over. And what I'm going to do is drop it on the corner, let it cascade down, and then drop it on the opposite side of this corner, let it cascade, drop it on the last corner. Boom. Chocolate fondue. Now, I hope you're all having a great time. I really want to thank everybody for coming along with us as we try to adjust to the pandemic. Special thanks to my crew who did an incredible job for a bunch of line cooks to turn out a video, figure out how to live stream and develop recipes for this. Really proud of them, so it was an amazing thing. They're all having a very good time tonight watching this, so I hope you had just as good of a time. So, any other questions if you feel like you need answered? We will be hanging out and watching it. So about 15 to 20 minutes, we'll watch the feed. If you have a question, put it on there. We'll take care of it for you, all right? Thank you again for joining us, and I hope you all have a great evening. Oh, yeah, the last cocktail? We have our nightcap? I'm sorry, we have a nightcap. Look at us.
There's been a lot of excitement tonight. We're gonna slow things down, stir things up, make a deeper connection with the French connection.
Yeah. Oh, this is a classic cocktail, but we're kind of doing our own take on it here. We think it's the perfect drink to end your night on. So we're gonna start off with some Hennessy, of course.
Spice up your night with some Hennessy. Provides a lot of nuttiness, fruitiness, and definitely the spice.
All right, and then we're gonna do some Disaronno.
Disaronno, I mean, you always gotta invite your next door neighbor over. This Italian liqueur packs the punch of sweetness and nuttiness. Perfect pair for the Hennessy.
And then we're gonna finish it off with a couple dashes of black walnut bitters.
Yeah, nice accent, brings everything together, bridges the evening quite nicely.
All right, and then we're gonna switch up strokes on you a little bit here. We're gonna stir this cocktail instead of shaking.
It's a pretty solid stroke you got there.
Yeah, got some practice lately.
During Corona?
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
All right, there you go.
All right, we're gonna strain this bad boy on a big ice cube. Size matters.
It does, but you know, you gotta work with what you got. So if you have smaller ice cubes, you can just use those, or you can serve it neat if you'd like. We personally like it over ice because it chills it, dilutes it a little bit. This is a really strong drink, so that's just how we're gonna do it. Again, you're gonna wanna squeeze the orange rind to get the juices flowing. Focus on the rim a little bit before you slide it in, and there you go, French connection.
Your date night ready. Bon appetit.